After sweeping ground in the opening round of the ECAC tournament, the Quinnipiac men's ice hockey team's playoff run will continue. We'll recap that series and look ahead to the next one as the Bobcats will take on St. Lawrence to battle for a spot in the semifinals. Does this team have what it takes to make it to Lake Placid? We'll have your answer to that and much more. The neutral zone is cleared for takeoff. Let's do it. Welcome to the Neutral Zone. I'm Kirby Paulson. I'm joined alongside these wonderful Q30 men's ice hockey beat reporters, Kyle Lavasser and MJ Big. Guys, how you doing?
Kirby, happy to be here. Just another Wednesday night.
Thanks for having me, Kirby.
Oh,
so glad to be here.
So excited that you're here with me. So just a quick recap. Quinnipiac obviously sweeping Brown in the opening round of that ECAC tournament. Our own Kyle Lavasser, who's sitting right next to me, had a package after game one to recap the action.
After beating the 12th-seeded Brown Bears twice in the regular season, the 5th-seeded Quinnipiac Bobcats did not miss a beat in Game 1 of the first round of the ECAC playoffs. It only took 32 seconds for Quinnipiac to find the back of the net, and they would not look back.
One, you always want the first goal of the game. Two, you know, first shift of the game, you want to come out there, you want to be flying. You know, it's coming up the wall. He takes a one-timer, gets it on net quick. You know, Marty tips it. Whalen bangs home a rebound. It's a dirty, beautiful goal.
The Bobcats added 5 more goals en route to a 6-1 thrashing of Brown.
I thought we did a really good job of being in attack mode and hunting and back pressuring the puck, and it was like I said, it was a good team effort.
Freshman goalie Andrew Shortridge continues to impress after winning ECAC Rookie of the Week. With the win, Shortridge is the first Quinnipiac freshman goalie to ever win an ECAC playoff game.
Playoff hockey is a different atmosphere. It's a lot more intense, and honestly, it's a lot more fun. You just got to stay in the moment and enjoy it.
With the win, the Quinnipiac senior class picks up its 99th career win. It looks to hit the century mark tomorrow night as it faces the Brown Bears yet again in Game 2, and even more importantly, advance to the quarterfinal round. At the High Point Solutions Arena, I'm Kyle Lavasser, Q30 Sports.
Wonderful recap there, Kyle. Gentlemen,
Thanks,
trouncing in that game one, huh?
Absolutely, just Quinnipiac bear hunting, essentially.
Well, more of the same in game two. Let's take a look at the action from game two of that series. Brown and men's hockey from Quinnipiac. Landon Smith is going to continue his hot streak. Quinnipiac leading the series 1-0. We'll head to the first period. Quinnipiac with a 40% success rate on the power play. Landon Smith on that power play with just an absolute snipe. He gets right in the eyesights there and bang, puts that one home.
Kirby, let's take another look. Look at this one. Oh, absolute snipe, as you said, top right corner.
I don't think any player on Quinnipiac is hotter than Landon Smith right now, riding a nice point streak.
Yes.
Connor Clifton's up there, but I don't think he's with Smith.
Landon Smith, a huge factor. We'll head to the second period. 2-1 QU at this point. Brown still in the game. Brown on the power play. Brady Shue takes a shot from the point. It's tipped by Zach Chattari. Brown thinks they're right back in the game at 3-2. But it's actually going to be reviewed, and the actual call is going to be a no goal with a high stick there.
Yeah, I agree, Kyle. Andrew Shortridge knew right from the start.
Third period, Quinnipiac is on 3-on-2. Tanner McMaster passes over to Connor Clifton, and both people with the screen. That puck is going to find its way to the back of the net. Hugh takes a 4-1 lead, and then Bo Peeper later is going to add an empty netter. Quinnipiac's going to end up winning and move on to play St. Lawrence in the quarterfinals. Seniors pick up the 100th win as a class. That's 20-plus win seasons each of the 4 years here. So again, big weekend for Quinnipiac. Gentlemen, what made this team so successful?
Kyle, I'll take this one first. Honestly, I think Quinnipiac's not really doing anything differently. They're not, playing a different game of hockey. They're just so much more confident in what they're doing. We talked to Rand Pecknold earlier in the week at Media Day, and he said, we're just getting a little puck luck now. He said they were gripping their sticks too tight earlier in the season. And really, in my eyes, you can break the season down into 3 different things. One being the beginning of the season where they were, playing the same hockey they were last year. They were succeeding. The middle of the year, over winter break and a little beyond that when they didn't have it. They didn't have confidence. They couldn't score any goals. They were really struggling. And now this third part of the year where they're ramping it back up again.
Well, I'm interested to hear Kyle's take here because he actually asked Rand over the weekend, do you think you're playing your best hockey at this point?
Yeah, and Pecknold said he didn't think they were playing their best hockey. He said it was early on in the year that they were playing their best. Just like you said, it was
Right.
kind of like just where they were continuing from last season. But I have to say that they're playing their best hockey right now. I mean, look at the facts. They're on a 5-game winning streak. Yes, they're playing three of the worst teams in the conference. They beat Brown 3 times, and Brown is 4-25-2 this season. They're the worst team in the ECAC. They beat RPI, who's the 11th team in the conference, and they beat Yale, who's a 500 team in ECAC play. But you can't argue the fact that they're scoring 5 goals per game, and Andrew Shortridge is playing the best hockey he has all year. He just has this swagger, this confidence about him that really, I think, allows the goal scorers to go out there and just play their game, have some confidence that they have that rock behind them. They don't have to worry about defense. They can just go out there. The Landon Smiths and the Connor Cliftons of the world can do what they do best, fire shots on net and just make it look easy to score.
Kyle, I think that's a really good point because last year you talked about having the rock in net. Michael Gartig was more than a rock. He was a boulder, if you will, to go with that expression. And Quinnipiac, they could just free flow offensively, and if they turned it over, they know they'd have a chance with Gartig in net. And I think Andrew Shortridge is providing, not the same effect, but he's getting there.
Guys, let's transition from the freshman side to more of a senior side. Seniors picking up their 100th win over the weekend. That's 3 NCAA tournaments on this resume, 4 consecutive 20-plus seasons, 1 Frozen Four, 1 Whitelaw Cup.
Yeah.
Just how much has this senior class meant to this team?
This is a big resume for a senior class. To have over 100 career wins is such an impressive feat. Only one other program in the entire Division I has more than 100 wins, and that's North Dakota, who they fell to in the national championship, of course, last year. But just look at the facts. Quinnipiac won their first Whitelaw Cup ever with this class as juniors last year. They went to only their second national championship ever. And a lot of players are going to remember the Cliftons, of course. I mean, they're fan favorites. They're always hitting their opponents into the boards, scoring when they need to. Tim Clifton has the only goal a Quinnipiac player has ever scored in a national championship. His name will be remembered for a long time here at Quinnipiac. But then they also have those key players that are just key team leaders, like Tommy Shutt, like Joe Fiala. Joe Fiala might not see the ice all the time, but he's a good leader in the locker room. Tommy Shutt, he might not be scoring as much as a Tim Clifton, but he really does what he needs to. He blocks shots, he wins faceoffs, he does all the gritty things that Pecknold loves seeing in his hockey players.
Yeah, Kyle, I mimic everything you said, and it's all basically perfect. I mean, this senior class, like you said, last year they were juniors when Quinnipiac went all the way to the national championship game and ultimately fell short. But in my opinion, the seniors now are some of the players on this team that are the best leaders. Connor Clifton, I should have talked about him this past weekend. He had an absolutely phenomenal weekend. He's also on fire for Quinnipiac. Tim Clifton, too. You said it, the Clifton brothers. Sometimes it's more than just, being the best player on the ice to be a leader. It's being the one who hits the most. Tim and Connor Clifton. Being the one who can rally the guys. That might be Joe Fiala in the locker room. They just have a plethora of different things, and the senior class just means so much.
And just to build off that, I mean, sometimes you can have players that are the most skilled and score the most goals. But being a leader is leading by example
Exactly.
and doing what your coach asks of you. It's Connor Clifton. I've seen him a bunch of times throughout his career in games that the team might not even be in. But it's at the end of the game when he's going down and blocking shots in games that they're going to lose, but he's just doing it for his team and going out there and blocking shots. That shows the heart and the leadership that really rubs off on the younger players.
Well, gentlemen, just to close this one out, it's tough for us to explain just what this senior class means to us as reporters, but Tommy Shutt sure well tried. Here's what he had to say after the game the other day.
There's not really one thing that you can put, say about every single guy. I think just as a group, from our freshman year, we just clicked with each other, and I just look to them like brothers, and I've got their back, and I know that they've got mine, and I think that's really helped, just especially this year, leading the group, the younger guys below us, and everyone's got their own role, and that's
Okay.
Toss the break when we come back.
You can always mention this.
Right, it's irrelevant.
He sees them just like brothers. Guys, when we come back, we'll take a look at the conference. Also, MJ Baird sat down and chatted with Jack Lyons of the SLU Hockey Blog. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
Coming up on Bobcat Breakdown.
And welcome into Studio 125.
So what? So what?
Points. If you score 40 points in a basketball game, we all know you play Quinnipiac Intramurals. We all know you love to shoot the rock.
Well, if you think that's the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard, what I'm about to say, I guess, is going to be pretty ridiculous in your book. But I'm going to say yes, there is a controversy. I'm
Getting ready to punch the ball as it lands right in front of another Monumental player.
It's 9:30 Eastern, and you know what that means. Sports Pause is on the air.
Ball played up the middle. Iman Whalen with a little cheat off the play. Preseason just boils down to going after another national championship and not necessarily focusing on the one before.
MJ. It is time for our favorite part of the show. It's the top 5 plays of the week, brought to you by B&D Deli, home of the Q-Dog.
Let's talk about the first play you want to break down.
Yeah, let's break it down right away. But the one name I'm going to throw out there is a freshman.
Time. 4-3.
So, guys, we recap the last series. Now these Bobcats are going to head up to St. Lawrence. Here's what Rand Pecknold and Tommy Shutt had to say at Media Day about the upcoming series.
I think it'll have to be with the crowd. St. Lawrence has a really good home crowd. They're good at their home rink. Obviously, they have the home advantage and stuff like that. So I think the adversity is going to come from trying to build our own confidence and trying to pump ourselves up by ourselves without a crowd behind us.
Well, they have a great goalie. I mean, Kyle Hayton's the best goalie in our league, and we had chances. I thought he played really well both games, and I thought St. Lawrence played well in front of him. But quite honestly, we missed half-empty nets, and we just didn't finish. We had chances, and part of it was him being great and us just not kind of finishing. So we'll find a way to score some goals this weekend.
So we saw what they had to say about that. These two teams have a history, Quinnipiac and St. Lawrence. Again, these two teams have met up quite a bit. Their all-time record, Quinnipiac's all-time record against St. Lawrence is 9-14-4. Chris Truhl has been in net for both games against St. Lawrence this season. We'll see how much of an impact that has. Again, 0 goals to 2 back this season. But again, a shootout win in their last meeting in Ireland. Again, that'll go down as a tie in the standings. But our MJ Baird here, the left of me, sat down and talked with Jack Lyons of the SLU Hockey Blog over the phone. Here's what they had to say.
All right, so Quinnipiac and St. Lawrence, of course, are playing this weekend in the quarterfinals, but Quinnipiac struggled so far this year against St. Lawrence. They have no goals for. St. Lawrence and Kyle Hayton have shut out the Bobcats twice, except for, of course, the shootout in the Belfast tournament over in Ireland. So as for St. Lawrence's defense and goaltending, what can you say about them and what makes them so successful?
Well, I got to be honest. Anytime you talk about the defensive statistics for the Saints, it has to start with a discussion of Kyle Hayton. He's been one of the best goalies in the country since he started at St. Lawrence, and he consistently puts the team on his back, and pretty much every night the guy makes at least 1 or 2 saves that would have been sure goals had he not been there. So he's really the backbone of the St. Lawrence defense, and what his play allows the Saints to do is have the kind of defensemen that they have, guys like Bayreuther, Bukowski, Finkelstein, and Sweetman, who don't mind and are quite good at jumping up into the rush and contributing offensively. Because they play so aggressively, sometimes they turn the puck over at the Saints blue line or in the defensive zone, and having a guy back there like Hayton who can bail the team out and bail those turnovers out a significant percentage of the time really allows St. Lawrence to play the kind of offense that they like to play, which is to run the offense through the defensemen and have them either make the breakout pass or carry the puck out of the zone themselves. So any discussion of the defense has to start with Hayton. But then you also have to look at the defensemen they have, and because they're so good offensively, they're really good skaters, and that also allows them to recover and move really well with players in the defensive zone and in the neutral zone. So it's really defense played in all 3 zones because of how good at skating the Saints defensemen are, and then, of course, they have Hayton back there to bail them out when the puck might pop over their stick.
Jack, MJ, thank you. Make sure to follow Jack on Twitter at SLU Hockey Blog. We'll take a look at the bracket for this ECAC quarterfinals matchups. A couple of real good quarterfinal matchups in this league. Guys, if we could get a couple of quick predictions here. Yeah. We got Yale playing off at Harvard, Princeton at Union, Clarkson at Cornell, and, of course, Quinnipiac at St. Lawrence.
Corby, I'll give you my 4 very quickly. I'm going to go Harvard, Union, Cornell, Quinnipiac. That's 3 of the top seeds. Quinnipiac, I think, is the only one that's going to be an upset. And you know what? Why is it going to be an upset quickly? Their past 10 games have just been on fire. Won 7 of the last 10, including 5 in a row. And I just think Quinnipiac's that team that's going to upset in these 4 games.
Yeah, I got to agree with you with 3 out of the 4 games or series, MJ. Harvard and Union's offense are just 2 of the best in the country, with Union's first line with Spencer Fu and Mike Vecchione. And then Harvard, you got the Donatos. It's just a special season for them right now. I also have Cornell But that series against Quinnipiac and St. Lawrence, I'm going to have to take St. Lawrence in 3 games. I think it's going to be a grinding series. It's just going to be tough. But honestly, the difference between Andrew Shortridge, who has never played St. Lawrence, and he's new to the playoffs. Yeah, he played Brown in the series, but we're talking about Brown in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He hasn't faced a top team in the playoffs. Kyle Hayden's been there and done that. He's the best goalie in the ECAC, and he hasn't let up a goal against Quinnipiac all season.
Forget the ECAC, he's one of the best in the nation.
Absolutely.
Mock 'em up, gentlemen. We'll see how those predictions end up coming after this weekend. Speaking of this weekend, Kyle, MJ, and myself will all be heading up to North Country to cover this St. Lawrence Quinnipiac series. But that's all we have for you tonight. Stay updated with the latest content. Follow us on Twitter at Q30 Sports and at our website, Q30television.com. So long, farewell. And for Kyle, MJ, everyone behind the scenes, I'm Kirby Paulson. We'll catch you in 2 weeks.